On this Sunday morning, eyes are turning to the tropics. I want to let you know what's happening now and a heads up to what we could expect, a storm possibly in the Gulf of Mexico. So here's the situation right now. You see a couple circles here for the National Hurricane Center. We had an area of disturbed weather that was making its way north of the greater Antilles. This is going to get absorbed into the larger low pressure system, which is this one here. You see our X. That's where the thunderstorms are more concentrated at this moment. This is our invest area of investigation, designated 97L. Just a cluster of thunderstorms that's expected to organize over the next few days, move north and eventually turn northwest somewhere near Cuba, and expect to develop into a tropical depression or tropical storm soon. The next name on the list is Rafael. Why is it going to the north and west? Why is it not going out to sea? Well, we have a pretty decently clear pattern setting up here, which is nice for us because we get a better idea of the forecast track. We have a ridge of blocking high pressure to the north of this system. So we mentioned that it's going to drift north for a little while here, approaching Jamaica and Cuba, but then it starts to feel the flow around this high pressure system. So it takes that turn to the left, that northwest turn. That is what brings it in the Gulf of Mexico. Now this ridge will start to slightly weaken, but it's going to be enough to where it will steer the storm likely north. There were some questions on if it would continue moving west, but the latest runs of forecast models keep it north. So it's folks along the Gulf Coast that'll want to watch this thing, again, getting into the Gulf midweek, and then be later in the week that it starts to approach the coast. So there's your heads up there. We're going to look at some individual forecast models here. These are the spaghetti plots indicating where the center of the storm might go. Understand now that we don't have a defined center, so you can see how these lines don't completely start all in the same place. Once we get a defined center, we'll know more about forecast track. But with the overall steering flow at this time, we understand that north movement becomes northwest movement thanks to the high pressure system. This is Tuesday p.m. As we get into Wednesday, midweek, it moves into the Gulf of Mexico. This latest run of forecast models hugs the coast of Florida just a bit more. Some of the models were more towards the central Gulf earlier. Now this latest run slightly close to Florida. We're going to see shifts over the next few days, so don't worry about the details right now. Just kind of get the idea of the timing. Here's another look. This is with the GFS ensemble models. So essentially the members of the GFS, the members that make up the actual GFS forecast model. It's just a different way of looking at things, and a really good way to look at things because there's a lot of different options here. This is Tuesday p.m., similar position right here over Cuba, then entering the Gulf of Mexico around Wednesday. When does it get to the coast? Wherever it goes, once again, we don't know where it's going to go yet, the final destination to be determined, but anywhere between, you can see the central Gulf Coast all the way down to Florida, and it's towards the end of the week. We're talking Friday, Saturday. So there's your heads up for the timing on that. What about intensity? Well, intensity forecast, that's just too hard at this point. A little too far out to do that. But I want to look at some history to kind of give you an idea of what November storms have done. You see one hurricane here. That's Kate in 1985. Juan was a hurricane, but that was an October storm mostly. It was November once it was dissipating. But all of these storms, all of them weakened as they approached landfall. Why was that? Because water temperatures cool off this time of year. We're in the 70s in the northern Gulf. That is less supportive. Also, most likely that whenever this thing does move north in the Gulf of Mexico, it will encounter some wind shear. So things we know right now, there'll probably be a tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico as we get towards midweek. It will likely weaken as it approaches the coast. Where does it exactly go? We don't know yet. Something that the Gulf Coast is going to have to watch. We will keep an eye on it. We will let you know where it might go in the coming days. So we want you to stay updated on the forecast. Here's what's happening right now locally. 68 degrees in Mobile with sunshine because the sun has come up earlier now. 82 degrees for this afternoon. A warm afternoon ahead. You see a few clouds out there possibly as well. Also breezier conditions. Winds out of the southeast around 10 to 15 miles per hour. You'll notice that in Pensacola as well, where we have high temperatures in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees. There's that southeasterly wind as well. Could we see a shower today? It is possible. You see just a couple specks on the HRRR. This is the high resolution futurecast. A couple bands set up as well later in the day. You see that there. So coastal showers possible. Then we'll watch for any other bands that happen. I'm keeping rain chances around 10 to 20%. So not very high at all. Looking ahead in the forecast, we're going to be watching towards the end of the forecast as well. But either way, we do have some kind of rain chance there, around 20 to 30% over the next few days. Bumped it to 40 on Friday. Looks like it's going to be a warm forecast as well over the next 7 days.